Welcome to part 4 of me telling my testimony. You know, I have written this out, and there's probably going to be things that I have forgotten that I'm going to wish that I told you. They'll probably come to me afterwards. But I've been using this verse in Revelation 12:11. But they have conquered him by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony, for they did not cling to life even in the face of death. So I left the Baptist church, and many of the people who were displaced from the split in the Baptist church had gone and joined this little startup church. So I went there for a few years. That church didn't really last. Then I started going to an AG church, and that's really where things began to change for me in terms of making studying scripture, making that truly a part of my life and paying attention to what God says in His Word. I still was pretty fearful of praying in public at this point, but I would do things like, walk my neighborhood and pray silently and do things like that. And so I had a boss at that time who was a believer, so I could pray with people over the phone. So I was sort of beginning to kind of come out of my shell that I was in, my fear of, speaking publicly, things like that. That sort of began to diminish. But I got invited, and I knew that I was being called to go. I got invited to this program that was sort of a very in-depth study the Bible. What does it say? Live your life by the Bible kind of a program. And it was transformational. So keep in mind, I always read faith books. That doesn't mean the books I read were accurate biblically, but I read them. And I always listened to different pastors and things like that. It doesn't mean that their teachings were accurate, but I listened. And I would do things, like give homeless people money, buy them food, etc. So I was always sort of doing things, but to sort of be intimate with the Lord and to really try to have that lifestyle of being obedient to what He's asking me to do and kind of walking that lifestyle out, that was something that I didn't really do before. A funny story, when I was going through this sort of in-depth sort of class that required hours of day of reading the scriptures, and it was, I think, 12 weeks long, and it was every single Saturday, and it was street preaching and street witnessing, and it was incredible. But it really transformed my life. But I remember at one point, this funny story I wanted to tell you, that they had these CDs that I wanted to, it wasn't gospel music, but there were these CDs that I wanted to give to people, but I was afraid. And so I remember thinking, I'd rather be struck by lightning and eaten by a shark at the same time than have to go up to somebody and pass out CDs. There's no way I'm doing that. Well, that was like game on. I ended up buying 84 and gave them away as Christmas cards. So that sort of fear that I had, that was going away. And it went away because I spent time with God in His Word and reading His Word and trying to understand what He said and trying to be intimate with God in His Word and really, what are you saying? And at this point, I recognized that so many of the things that had been taught from the pulpit weren't true, but I didn't really know what it was that I had been lied to about. So I had this prayer and I said, you know what, Lord, I just want to know your word and I want to know what it says. And I don't really care how I learn it. I just want to know. So these people that I had met at the church who were teaching this class on the calendar, the Hebrew calendar, I was very fascinated by that. And, and that the months are all pagan names, etc., the days of the week, etc. They were having this class in their house. And I thought, I should go because maybe that's where I'll go and I will learn the truth. So I went, but the Lord told me to tell no one. I'd gotten pretty good at trying to figure out when He was talking to me by this point. So He told me to tell no one. So I go to that very first class and I say, hey, listen, please don't tell anybody I'm here. I know now why later, but at the time I didn't. I was just being obedient. So I started to go to this class and I learned so much there that so much what is said from the pulpit isn't true. We'll pick up tomorrow. Armor up, we ride at dawn. May God bless you as always. Have a great day.